Forefathers, the founding fathers, let's talk about them. They were pieces of shit. They owned black people like animals, like cattle. They designed this country to benefit 21-year-old people that look like me, sir. They said that black people were only worth three-fifths of a white man just because of how they looked. Did those sound like deities, wonderful people? But see, you don't give a shit about that, do you, sir? Because, like most MAGA supporters, you only give a fuck about yourself. Your life was fine, so you don't care about anybody else. And that's really what this is about. And we can go into Jim Crow and segregation and the unaliving of Native Americans whose land this actually is because we're technically immigrants on their land. We can talk about how women couldn't vote, how they weren't allowed to have credit or no fault divorce. We could talk about Asians in internment camps, how black people couldn't vote until the 1960s, how you're grabbing people that have been here for 30 years because they're immigrants, because their documentation's not right and treating them like animals too. But if you're white, you get to be the president and you're a convicted felon and you abuse women. If you're white and you assault police officers and you're found guilty through a jury of your peers on January 6th, you get pardoned and you get to be called a hero. This country was designed this way on purpose. And the problem is, people like you, sir, you don't give a fuck about anybody but yourself because it didn't affect you. And that's really why we're here. Because enough people that look like me didn't say what I'm saying right now before. They didn't stand next to Martin Luther King. They didn't cross the bridge with John Lewis. They didn't take a knee with Colin Kaepernick. They didn't sit on that bus with Rosa Parks because it didn't affect them. And here we are, you and I having this conversation. Because the reality, sir, is we're here because of white supremacy. This country is working exactly how it was designed to benefit me. And that's fundamentally fucked up. And it's wrong. And that American flag that you worship and adore as if it's some kind of sacrilegious thing, I don't worship a flag. I could be grateful that I'm in the United States of America, but I can also criticize it. And I would argue that actually makes me more of a patriot than you do. Because you don't want to admit what this country really is. It's a white male patriarchy, sir. So if you can take 3 seconds and pull your head out of your ass and see that, or out of your orange daddy's ass, you would understand that, sir. But I don't think you care because you probably like it. The fact that I'm okay or you can say my life is comfortable, it dismisses everyone else. I'm not the only person in this country. Patriotism, being a good neighbor, giving a shit about other people makes me a decent person, sir, because I'm not a selfish prick like you. As long as you're fine, you don't give a shit. And that's what happened in this last election. A lot of people like you didn't care about women who were survivors of SA. You didn't care about Officer Sitnik's family, that they'll never see him grow up. You didn't give a shit about the officers on January 6th who have long-term disabilities and will never be the same. You didn't give a fuck about any of them. But as long as the price of eggs went down $1.30, sir, you don't care. You basically hoard yourself out for a couple of bucks for capitalism because your life was better. And that is the difference between you and I. I voted for everybody else, including you, even though you don't care. And you still only voted for me, me, me. And I can say this as a former Republican, and I wasn't really involved in politics until 2016, is Republicans are selfish. And you call it personal liberty. No, it's not. It's selfishness wrapped in Christian nationalism and mainly nationalism and white supremacy. Me, 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 me. Freedom, freedom, freedom. What about the freedom of my kids to go to school and not do active shooter drills? What about the freedom of people not to go into debt because they don't have universal health care? What about the freedom of kids to go to school and have food? What about those freedoms? So you don't give a shit because it doesn't affect you. And that's why we're here. That's why we're divided. Because for too long, people like you and your demographic that look like me only give a shit about themselves. You don't care about anybody else. And you wanted to just agree to disagree. That time's gone. It's not about policy. We have a difference of fundamental values. You have a fucked up moral compass. And I voted for everybody else. I voted for women's rights. I'm not a woman. I voted for trans people. I voted for gay people. I voted for small businesses to get started up. I voted for people to get help with their college loan. I voted for everybody else knowing that my taxes might go up. Now you tell me voting for everybody else in this society, and you want me to what? Worship the founding fathers because it benefited me? No, because I'm not going to be a selfish prick like you, sir. But you have yourself a good day.